Hello guys, it's me Jamie. Welcome back to another video. I actually finished my Goodreads challenge recently. I set my reading challenge for Goodreads to be 75 books. I want to read 75 books this year, and I actually achieved that this month, so I am feeling very accomplished. The fact that I finished my Goodreads goal in September, I'm very proud of myself. So I think that I am going to try and make it to 100. I just think that would be stunning. So today I have a TBR for kind of the rest of the year. I've got 25 books that I want to read before the year ends. I've actually, since finishing my Goodreads goal, I think I've read like now 78 books this year. But I think if I can read these 25, I think I can definitely read these 25. If I don't though, I'm not gonna like beat myself up. Like, that's absolutely fine. I get it. It's a lot and I'm sure life will get in the way. But yeah, today I'm just bringing you 25 books that are on my radar, like books that I kind of want to try and get to before the end of the year. And without further ado, let's just get into it. So I'm going to start by saying the first 8 books are books that I have already mentioned on my channel before. At the beginning of the year, I did a video which was 21 books I want to read in 2021. And there are 8 books on that list which I still haven't read. So I will just quickly go through them at the beginning of the video. The first 8 of the 25 books I want to read this year are books that I've mentioned, so I will be very brief. But first, I have A Little Life. So I've been meaning to read this for so long. The fact that I haven't is disgusting. Like, this has actually been on so many videos of like TBRs or like books I need to read this year, whatever. This has been on so many videos over my 3 years on BookTube, and I just need to finally read it. I need to finally get it done. Next, I have Utopia Avenue by David Mitchell. This book I actually got gifted for my birthday from Caitlin last year. I accidentally left it in Sydney. I did leave a bunch of my books in Sydney, so I don't have it with me, but I'm sure I can potentially like borrow it from someone or get it on my Kindle if I can't go back to Sydney before the end of the year. But this is basically just a story about a rock band. It's like historical fiction. Love those vibes. Need to get to this. Next book I want to read before 2021 is over is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Definitely need to read this. This has also been on my radar for a really long time, and it's dark academia, occult vibes. Like, why would I not love it? So can't believe I haven't read it yet. We'll definitely be reading this one. Next, I have The Gilded Wolves. This just sounds so up my alley. When it first came out, it had such mixed reviews, but since then I've seen more people read it and genuinely really love it and be like, why has this been shat on so much? It's basically like a heist story. We follow a bunch of like ragtag criminals in like France, I believe, in a certain time frame. I'm not sure if it's fantasy or historical. No, it's definitely fantasy. It's definitely fantasy. I'm not totally sure, but I definitely want to read this and it looks really fun. Book number 5 is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I actually did try and read this kind of recently. I like picked it up and read the first page and was like, wait, no, hang on, I'm not in the mood for fantasy. So that is a shame, but I do still definitely want to read this. I just think I really need to be in the fantasy mood, and at the moment I'm just not in the mood to start like a brand new fantasy series, but I'm hoping that changes soon. I've heard so many good things about this. It's like an African inspired fantasy, and yeah, definitely need to get this. I think me and Caitlin are going to try buddy read it at some stage. Next, I have Delta of Venus by Anais Nin. This is another book that I accidentally left in Sydney, but this is basically a book of like a lot of short erotica stories. Anais Nin was kind of like the pioneer of like the erotica genre, so I definitely, because I have been getting into romance and stuff like that, I want to kind of see where the whole erotica like stuff, where it all began. So really excited to read this. Hopefully can read it soon. Book number 7 is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is a big boy, but it's basically a book about 2 rival magicians. Absolutely love that vibe. I want to get to this ASAP. It is a really big book, so I should probably get started on it soon, but this is something that I definitely want to get fully invested in. And then book number 8 is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Another book very similar to Little Life, in which I have put it on so many videos and haven't read it yet. I definitely want to read it before the end of the year. Thinking of maybe doing like a 24-hour readathon where all I read is this. I think it will probably be impossible because I am a really slow reader, especially when it comes to fantasy, but this is something that I definitely want to get to ASAP, and I've heard nothing but things, and also it's sapphic, and I'm really in my Women Who Love Women era, so I definitely need to read this very soon. And now the next books are all just books that have been on my radar. I may have mentioned them on my channel once or twice, but I haven't made like a full TBR with them. So here are the next books that I want to read before the year is over. Book number 9 is All's Well by Mona Awad. Mona Awad actually wrote Bunny, which is a book I really enjoyed, and All's Well, to be honest, looks like it will be even better than Bunny. me, especially because it's just, I feel like it's so tailored to me. I absolutely love Shakespeare, and I love books that feature like drama schools, actors, all that sort of stuff. And All's Well is about a drama professor at university. They are putting on a performance of All's Well That Ends Well, but all her students would much rather put on Macbeth, and all this crazy shit goes wrong. Mona Wad's stories are really weird horror, and I absolutely love that. And I love the idea of a really weird horror with both Macbeth and All's Well That Ends Well in the backdrop. Also, if I was her drama student, why would I want to put on All's Well That Ends Well? Macbeth, exactly. Like, already I'm gonna love it because I will be relating to these drama students. Macbeth superiority, thank you very much. But yeah, definitely very excited to read this. Book number 10 is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I am a slave to Sally Rooney, absolutely. Conversations with Friends is actually one of my favorite books of all time, so I definitely want to read her new release. I don't really know anything about it, but I think the point of difference in this book compared to Sally Rooney's two other ones is that we follow 4 main characters rather than just 2. I think one relationship is supposed to be like very perfect and idealistic, and then one relationship is a little bit more unconventional. That's kind of all I know about it, and I want to go in knowing next to nothing because that's exactly what happened when I read Normal People and Conversations with Friends. But yes, this is definitely something that I'm going to be reading very soon. Number 11, I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This one I have been wanting to read all year. This has been on my radar because it won the Goodreads Choice Award in 2020 for general fiction, and I love kind of reading the Goodreads Choice Award winners just because I just love seeing what the masses have been enjoying. It's satisfying to me. I love going through all the Choice Awards winners and being like, yeah, I've read that, I've read that, I've read that. So this is now something I definitely want to read. I don't know anything about this really. I just know that it's very whimsical, a lot of magical realism. I just heard nothing but good things, and again, this is another book that I want to go into quite blind, so that's exactly what I intend on doing. But yeah, definitely very excited to check out The Midnight Library. Also guys, I'm so sorry the lighting's going a bit crazy. It's like 4 o'clock at the moment, and lighting is just in and out, so I hope you don't mind. But yeah, we carry on. Book number 12 that I want to read is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I liked Red, White and Royal Blue, but I didn't love it as much as other people did. I see why it's super popular, but it's not really my favorite book. But Casey McQuiston's other book, One Last Stop, this is their new release this year. I really want to read this because it is sapphic. Exactly. Basically, we follow these 2 girls. I think they meet on like a train station, but then one of them is like stuck in a time loop. I personally love romance and like time loops. Like, there's something about like time travel fiction, time loop fiction, that just really is my cup of tea, my meal of choice. So really excited to read this. One thing I did like about Casey McQuiston's writing is I really liked their effortless use of like colloquial language and quite modern like slang. I really enjoyed their use of that, so I'm really excited to get to this, and hopefully there's more of that, but in more of like a sapphic vibe. Exactly. Next, I really want to get to The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I have had this on my shelves for ages, and I feel like this would just be like a stunning like fantasy that I would really like. I've heard really good things about this, and in terms of like fantasies, I know that like fae are really popular and like the fae world, and I can understand, like I appreciate that too, but there's just something about like magicians, there's something about like magic wielders, like warlocks, sorcerers, like exactly, it's my meal of choice yet again. Like I just love the idea of that. I don't know too much about this, but basically it's just set in like a fantasy version of New York where magic is mostly extinct, but we're following our main character who is one of the last remaining magicians. Love the sound of that, love that vibe, and really want to get to this very soon. Book number 14 is Tris 6 Venom by Penelope Douglas. If you know me, you must have known that this was going to be on this list. I need to read this ASAP, and this is probably going to be one of the first books that I read out of this list. But basically this is Penelope Douglas's new release that she released this year. It is a sapphic romance. Finally, Penelope is giving us those lesbians exactly. Basically, I don't know really much about the characters at all. I just know that it's a bully romance. It's new adult, so the characters are fairly young, and these girlies hate each other, but they're also like in love. So there's a lot of sexual tension here, very enemies to lovers, obsessed with that, and I cannot wait to see how Penelope Douglas writes 2 beautiful women who are obsessed with each other. I cannot wait. Speaking of lesbians. Book number 15 is Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. I don't know much about this, I just know that it's like that classic millennial fiction, but it's about a female-female relationship. The thing with Melissa Broder is that Melissa Broder wrote possibly one of the most controversial books ever. She wrote The Pisces, a book that I love so much. I love to death. I just thought it was really wacky, really like ridiculous, but in the same way such an important discussion on like modern day feminism and the modern day like roles for women in society. But everyone hates it. Everyone hates it, but I love it because it's like very realistic, and it has one of those super like unlikable and unapologetic like voices from our main character. So I mean, I loved it, so I cannot wait to read Milk Fed, which is Melissa Broder's latest release, I think. And yeah, female-female romance, that's kind of all I know about it. I'm glad that I don't know much about it because it was exactly the same with The Pisces. So yeah, I definitely want to read this very, very soon. Book number 16 that I want to read before the end of the year is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. I actually received this for my birthday 2 years ago from my lovely friend Amy, and I cannot believe I haven't read it yet, even though whenever it's like sitting on my shelf I look at it and I'm like, that should be the next book I read, but then I just never pick it up, which is so disappointing. I've been wanting to read this for such a long time. It looks like such a good thriller. Basically it's about this marriage that is kind of going like a little bit, getting a bit stale, getting a bit boring, so our main couple starts to decide murdering people for fun to keep their marriage alive. It sounds so ridiculous, but yet so up my alley. What a murderous power couple. We love to see it. And I definitely want to read this very, very soon. Book number 17 is Stalking Jack the Ripper, another gift that I received about 2 years ago from my friend Isabella. Still fucking disgusting that I haven't read it yet. This just looks really, really fun, like fun YA historical fiction. It's set in Victorian England, and I don't know really anything about it, but I just love the quote on the back, "I was the girl who loved the Ripper." Sounds very scandalous, and I'm just really excited to read this. It looks really fun, and it will probably be a really fast read, so yeah, very exciting. The next book I want to read before the year ends is The Maidens by Alex McCallides. This was a 2021 release, and I cannot wait to get to this. It's dark academia. It has everything I love about these students of Greek in university. They're studying Greek and they think their professor is a murderer. They try and expose him. Love, love, love the sound of that, so definitely very, very excited to get to this. And I think I have actually put this on my October TBR, so I know I'll be getting to it very, very soon. Book number 19 is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Kind of disgusting that I have not picked this up yet, considering I have read every single one of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, for better or for worse, to be honest. Like, why I am still a slave to that woman, I don't understand, because literally 4 out of her previous like 6 books were atrocious. But yet here I am, so I still want to read Malibu Rising. I have heard mixed things about this. I've heard that it's not the best, but I'm very much like a person who likes seeing for themselves, so I'm still definitely going to read this, and hopefully, well, I'm going to try and read it definitely before the end of the year, because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Daisy Jones and the Six and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, so I just feel like this will be a fast read nonetheless. So yeah, very excited to get to this eventually. The next book is Mr. Loverman by Bernardine Evaristo. I really want to read this before the end of the year because I loved Girl, Woman, Other, and this is one of the books out of Bernardine Evaristo's others that I'm probably the most drawn to. We basically follow this older man who has been keeping an affair with another man hidden from his family for the past like 50 years. I'm just really interested to see how this book plays out and how the story of the whole family. I'm just really excited, and I loved Bernardine Evaristo's writing style, and yeah, I'm just excited to read this. The next book on the list is Killing Commendator, which is by Haruki Murakami. This is another birthday gift from like 2 years ago that I haven't read yet, unfortunately. This was a gift from Caitlin, but I definitely want to read this before the end of the year. Yes, it's really big and intimidating, but it just looks so good. This looks like it's going to be very, very fantastical, very mysterious. It also says it's an homage to The Great Gatsby, so it's so fitting that Caitlin got me this book when it's a homage to her favorite book of all time. So yeah, definitely want to get to this very soon. I haven't read anything by Murakami before, so will I read something else by Murakami first before I get to this? I'm not sure. It's possible, but still definitely want to try read this before the end of the year. Book number 22 is The Spanish Love Deception. I have been wanting to read this for ages. I know it's really popular in the like romance world at the moment. It's really popular on BookTok, and Chloe and Caitlin both read it recently and absolutely loved it. I honestly do not know anything about it apart from the fact that it's enemies to lovers, fake dating, romance. And the love interest Aaron Blackford is apparently stunning, so I want to see for myself. It does look really good and I cannot wait to read this book. Book number 23 is The Wicked King by Holly Black. I read The Cruel Prince recently. Surprisingly, really loved it, so I definitely need to finish the whole series hopefully by the end of the year, but definitely read the sequel. This is a super fast book, so I know that I will read it very soon. It's not long at all, and yeah, I just cannot wait to see more of Juden Carden's antics, so definitely need to finish this very soon. Book number 24 is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. This is a book that Kevin bought for me recently and he said it was amazing. I'm so in my romance mood at the moment, and this is a story about two actors playing love interests who fall in love in the process, and that just sounds so up my alley. I need to read this. I need my heart to be filled, and I completely trust Kevin's judgment, and I just love him for sending me this. So yeah, definitely want to read this very soon. And finally, book number 25 for the books that I want to read before the end of the year is Queenie by Candice Carty Williams. I have been wanting to read this for such a long time. This is just that classic genre of like young woman who does not know what she's doing with her life. Love that genre, one of my favorite genres, so I definitely want to read this very soon. Apparently this book is supposed to be super funny, super charming, and super relatable as we follow our main character Queenie, who is a journalist who doesn't know what the hell's happening with her life. She doesn't know what path she's going to go down. Honestly love the sound of that, so definitely want to read this very soon. I feel like it's something that I could find very relatable. So yeah, those are all the books that I hope to read before the end of the year to get my reading, like my book count for the year to 100 books. Wish me luck, guys. Wish me luck. That's a lot of books, a lot of pages I just held up. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know in the comments what book you think I should start with, what you think I should prioritize. If you've read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video very soon. Mwah! Bye!
But she said, Cindy, don't cry.